watching our What If Civilization series restarts. And well, there's a lot. But today's episode is mainly focused on collapse, with a few areas within this empire wanting to be protected by that empire but not be a part of it. So they decide to join the union of these nations, all these orangish nations. This includes a nation over here, a nation over there, nation over there. I can't name all these. I was naming it well for a bit. Well, yeah. This isn't a collapse. They basically had no choice. It was either collapse or grant them union with them, which this union is, all that. It's basically a part of the country. They all share everything, basically. Like it's 1930s, I guess, maybe. They act like something, even though it's nowhere near the 1930s, I think. Very confident, I think. The most confident response I've ever seen. And well, there's a nation over here that declares its independence. The nation over here declares their independence. And seeing that if they all declare independence at once, there's nothing that can be done. They all do. And then this coastal area falls into three. You may be saying, why would I collapse this area? Well, I want to just balkanize everything in this series all of a sudden. I guess I can use gray because we're not using gray anymore for like non-countries. We're using white, so it can be anything but white. Well, yeah. Well, you can see the colors are pretty cool, I think. Well, you can see another nation collapsed. You know the green nation that used to be an empire? Well, they start to fall apart. We need to go focus on some of the small nations of this area declaring its independence. This empire was mighty until it fell. Well, this nation here decides to invade one of those desert nations because they want the robber. Because this definitely is Catan, and that's definitely the desert. And well, they move into here, with this nation forming some strength. But with so much happening, it's kind of crazy. Up here, the nations are bigger, you can see, as well as the desert. Well, this nation over here decides to invade this nation, which goes really well for some reason. With this nation having a goal of becoming a very strong, but for now, they don't really do much. This nation here, this big pink nation, decides to expand into here. Why? Because they can. Also, just because the colors are similar does not mean a pact. It means they might have left the nation too. Like here, those nations left. And well, it's very irritating recording with the sun in your eyes. Very. But I'm still recording. Ain't that great? With them invading another nation that's too weak to defend itself, which becomes this nation. And well, the purple nation decides to expand into those lands before it can be taken from them. Because they know they're going to have to wait to be able to expand great like they did before. And this nation decides to start rebuilding its former glory. And well, it invades two of its former nations. So that's pretty good for them, I guess. You may say, I thought you said collapse. Well, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean collapse. If it was just collapsing, people would get bored. Because people get bored pretty easy in 2024. 2025. What am I doing in 2024? I don't know. Well, where else can we collapse? That nation would be a good idea, but I don't think it is. With this nation over here deciding it's time to push back. Well, with a conflict breaking out between the yellow nation and this green nation with the goal of taking the Straits back, this nation starts moving in. But they quickly start getting pushed back. But there's a nation that may or may not want to expand again after falling. It's this nation. Decides it's time to start an invasion. And they move up into the Baltics, which allows an offensive out of this front, which allows them to gain control of two of the Russian puppets. Not Russian, yellow puppets. Them all thinking this is not really going to work out. Now, for this nation, it definitely won't, because it never seems to. With them marching in, and then on the other front comes another nation trying to gain strength to try to become the strongest adversary in its region. And well, doing this recording with the sun in my eyes, I'm probably going to end up with cataracts by the end of this video. But that's not a big deal, I guess. Maybe it is. I don't know. As the yellow country starts pushing them back, with them having a swift plan, they land in Crimea, whatever it's called in this timeline. And they gain control over big swaths of the Azov Sea as they start moving up from this area. And the goal of trying to take the capital of this nation, which is located around there. Well, quickly it expands like that, but by this time, this country is pushing back on multiple fronts. With a big encirclement, but not, like, too bad. With them trying to take this area back, but they kind of fail. Well, another offensive is created on this front, which realistically highlights a weakness, with the peace treaty being drafted up. And well, they decide to push back their hold on the whatever they call the sea in this line. Sea. And well, they also take over this area, as they full-on annex all these areas for reasons because it benefits them. And well, two areas that used to be puppets are now taken over by this empire's control, with the puppets seeing what will happen if they do anything. But as you see, if you do that and then select all, because that's what I'm going to do, just select it all, I can make a perfect border for these two nations. Just follow the lines of control. Just follow the lines of control. Well, this nation needs to be careful not to get stronger. But three nations decide to unify together in order to form another nation as part of it in the south. So there's three bigger nations, probably. Not Russia. The Russia of this timeline, which is not Russia, learned some lessons. With the collapse, with this nation having collapsed, but no one else had the reaction time. They were still deciding, what shall we do with it? But they were doing that for weeks, maybe. But they didn't realize during these talks this nation was already going in to occupy it all. And they managed to do it. With the nation to the north being part of the reason this video was called Collapse. With this area declaring independence. This area leaves after the collapse of the economy. One over here leaves, and just one more. One up here leaves, and one over here leaves. While over here they lose part of their nation. With it being interesting, though, that it collapsed. That sun is literally burning my eyes. I mean, I don't mind the sun, but it is burning my eyes. Literally. But it's worth it to make a video. Honestly, I think it's just worth it. Wild Mapper videos are, I don't know for sure, but I think that they're pretty great. I can't say for sure. Some people have different opinions for some reason. And that's not what I meant to do. I can barely see with the sun in my eyes. Because it keeps getting bad, then good, then bad. with the Yellow Nation taking advantage of the situation. And after a months or more of preparing time, they get the troops to occupy this region and that region. The reason they're not going for the green is because they don't know how strong the green is. Or they feel the green's really strong, one or the other. And while some nations haven't really expanded, but it hasn't been long because there's so much that goes on in the videos of this series. That's kind of a lot. With them moving up and up and up to occupy more land. Just like this nation down here decides to do this. And then this Yellow Nation decides to do something to the collapsing. This nation collapses in the economy, so they quickly invade. Now they have a pretty strong country. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out. But not until you subscribe. Bye, guys!